Battlefield 2042 was hyped as the future of the franchise, and instead, it managed to miss the entire shooting range. Launch day felt like chaos for all the wrong reasons. Hovercrafts were scaling skyscrapers, soldiers were T-posing mid-gunfight, and hit detection was so bad you'd swear your bullets were just made out of rubber. The game instantly became a meme, the player base just vanished overnight, and for a while, it felt like Battlefield as a series might be actually finished. But sometimes the worst failures just happen to be the most important wake-up calls. And after spending just a little bit of time in the beta, fingers crossed, I think we're back. The golden years of Battlefield 2, Bad Company 2, 3, 4 set the bar almost impossibly high. Those games gave us the chaos we all think when we say only in Battlefield. For me, Bad Company 2 holds a special place in my heart. It had this perfect mix of destruction and personality. Every match felt so unpredictable. You'd be holding down a house one minute and then all of a sudden, the walls would just literally get blown out from under you. It was tactical, but also hilarious in that Battlefield only way. Then came Battlefield 3 and 4. Massive conquest battles, jets screaming overhead, skyscrapers falling in the siege of Shanghai. It was Battlefield at its most ambitious, and it worked. If you played during those years, you know what I mean. It felt like the series could do no wrong. But by the late 2010s, things started to change. Battlefield 1 looked incredible. The Frostbite engine made World War I look like a painting came to life. The first time a Zeppelin crashed, it was jaw-dropping. But the more I played, the more it felt like the game was built on a spectacle rather than staying power. Once the novelty wore off, some players were left wanting that older Battlefield grit that the series was known for. And then Battlefield 5 arrived and things got shakier. The reveal was controversial from day one, with EA completely doubling down on its critics. The infamous "don't like it, don't buy it" line turned into a prophecy, because many people didn't buy it. And when the game shipped missing entire theaters of World War II, it felt like the franchise had completely drifted away from the identity that made it special. So by the time 2042 was announced, the series was kind of already on a tightrope. Fans wanted reassurance that Battlefield could deliver, and instead, they got the exact opposite.
Don't be sad. This is just how it works out sometimes.
2042 was marketed as the comeback. Futuristic warfare, 128-player chaos, dynamic weather events. It looked like a true innovation in the series, something that was truly next generation and pushed the boundaries. But when it launched, yeah. Specialists replaced the classes that we all loved, and then suddenly Battlefield felt like a knockoff hero shooter. None of us wanted our soldiers cracking shitty one-liners while the servers were catching fire. Don't even get me started on the maps either. We all know they were huge, terrible, empty wastelands. You'd spawn, sprint across a desert for what felt like a gym workout, and then bam, sniped by someone camping a mile away. It was less of a shooter and more of a bad cardio simulator. And the bugs, the fucking bugs, man. Rubber banding so bad it felt like the players were on invisible trampolines, vehicles were glitching through walls, hovercrafts were just scaling skyscrapers like Spider-Man. It felt like we were in a comedy show of bugs and not playing a Battlefield game. The community turned instantly, with some of the worst Steam reviews of all time. Player counts fell off a cliff, from over 100,000 at launch to under 2,000 within months. Battlefield didn't just fail, it was free falling and being actively mocked. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I thought that was it. Let's be real, EA isn't exactly known to nurture failures. Anthem was just abandoned. Medal of Honor, completely buried. Dragon Age the Veilguard, I mean, okay. Let's just not talk about that one. Battlefield 2042 was destined for the graveyard. But then something strange happened. It didn't die. Instead of pulling the plug, DICE ended up doubling down. Over the next few years, Battlefield 2042 slowly crawled its way out of the pit. We got some much needed map reworks, Kaleidoscope, Renewal, Orbital. Maps that used to feel like giant parking lots suddenly had choke points, cover, and an actual combat flow to them. Gunplay was tightened patch by patch, recoil adjusted, bullet spread fixed. I remember logging back in months later and thinking, wait, that actually felt kind of good. New maps like Exposure and Spearhead were added. Maps that felt designed and not just dropped in as giant empty playgrounds. We have good Battlefield Bad Company 2 maps, Battlefield 3 maps, Portal, and then the big one. The class system came back. Assault, Engineer, Support, Recon, the foundation of Battlefield since forever, restored after community outcry. It was like watching a chef salvage a burnt steak. It's not fine dining, but at least you could eat it. But the impact wasn't the patches themselves. You can't put makeup on shit and expect it to smell good. It's what they represented. 2042 proved that in the most painful way possible, that Battlefield could not survive as a trend-chasing shooter. Tornado trailers and hero characters were not enough. The franchise had to go back to its roots. Teamwork, destruction, classes, and the chaos that felt actually earned. And that's the wake-up call that's shaping Battlefield 6. You can see it in every design choice. DICE actually listened this time. Feedback on UI, maps, pacing, it's all being addressed, even though I think the UI is still kinda shit. The beta showed classes are central again, destruction matters, and the flow is designed with Battlefield's core DNA in mind. 2042 was the slap in the face EA needed. Without the collapse, Battlefield 6 doesn't look anything like this. Fast forward to the Battlefield 6 beta weekends. I think if you're anything like me, you probably loaded in with rock bottom expectations. Classes are back from the ground up, even though they still need a little bit of balance. The gunplay felt sharp, and it also felt like destruction really mattered again. At one point, I blew open a wall with C4, and my squad stormed past the rubble onto the point. I think that's just kind of the chaotic sandbox moment that only Battlefield can deliver. But of course, it's not perfect. The maps felt really small, faster paced, almost Call of Duty like maybe. Rush being 12v12 felt kind of cramped sometimes, more of like a brawl than a back and forth tug of war. The UI I don't think is terrible, but still needs a little bit of polish. But here's the difference this time. The devs are responding much faster, but within days, DICE was promising refinements and bigger maps at launch. That's not the 2042 treatment. That's a studio proactively listening. And you could feel the energy in the matches. Lobbies were full, people were talking on mics again, squads were coordinating. The only in Battlefield magic, it felt like it was finally back, even though it was just a beta. And that's the irony of this whole situation. Without 2042's collapse, Battlefield 6 doesn't exist like this. EA doesn't rediscover the value of classes, teamwork, and destruction unless they're burned first. I'm sure those shareholders were not happy. It was like the embarrassing wake-up call. Battlefield 6 is the apology. And for the first time since Battlefield 1, people are actually saying, this feels like Battlefield. And honestly, that sentence hits way harder than any marketing trailer ever could. Battlefield 2042 nearly ended the franchise. But weirdly enough, it also saved it, because without 2042's disaster, there is no Battlefield 6 like this. And Battlefield 6 might just be the redemption fans have been waiting for. So yeah, in a weird twist, 2042 might be the game that saved Battlefield by being really, really bad.